going on, guys? We're live. We're back for another edition here of Talking Ball. And today, I want to continue the series here looking at some of the off-season moves of these college basketball programs. And today, I just want to focus on one team. I think yesterday I tried to handle as many teams as I could. I think we're going to just take it one team at a time. We're going to do this most days of the week, I think. Probably not tomorrow, but over the weekend, try to get one of these in. Look at a team, every other day or so. Hopefully more than that, but that's where we're going to start. So today, I want to take a look at Syracuse. Coach Autry's second season at the helm did not go to plan. They had a rough second season for Coach Autry. Injuries certainly played a factor with that. I think, if I remember correctly, the two returners for Syracuse, Donnie Freeman and J.J. Starling, they only played together like less than 10 games last year. There's just a bunch of injuries that Syracuse had, and the fact that those two guys didn't play together was a major blow to the program. But I think it's also important to note, I didn't think they did a great job of roster construction. I think, now, having said that, got to admit where you're right and where you're wrong. And I remember thinking that I liked some of the guys they had brought over in the transfer portal, like, I think it was like Jair Davis. I thought Jaquan Carlos could give them some playmaking production. I didn't like Eddie Lampkin. He had decent numbers, but I feel like he hurts more than he helped. And so, also, I thought Chris Bell could take another step forward, and he went backwards. So all those things combined, Syracuse had a rough season. So now they have two guys return, and we're going to pull up a little bit of a graphic here. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Here we go. So you guys can follow along here. Gotta spit out my gum. So, all right. So, who's gone? Well, a lot of guys left. As far as I could tell, technically 7 players have transferred out from the Syracuse program here. We're looking at Lucas Taylor, Chris Bell, Elijah Moore, Peter Majastrovich, and Chance Westry. Westry didn't play last season. The other guys were all part of the rotation, more or less. And then 2 guys ran out of eligibility in Jair Davis and Jaquan Carlos. So, as I mentioned before, we've got 2 guys who are returning here in J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman. And then they brought in 6 transfers. 6 transfers. Nate George, Nate Kings, William Kyle, Ibrahim Saore, Tyler Betsy, and Bryce Zafir. And 4 freshmen are joining Syracuse this upcoming season. Sadiq White, Keon Anthony, Luke Fennell, and Aaron Womack. And let's break these guys down. We'll pull that graphic back up here in a second. So the returners. You've got your 2 leading scorers from last season back. That's a big deal. J.J. Starling is a really good college player. He struggled with his efficiency last season, but I think part of that is what was going on around him. He had to do a lot more than probably what is best for him. And Donnie Freeman, I really liked the flashes we saw from Freeman. I think he's 6'8", 6'9". I think he can really shoot the ball, and I think that's going to be a key for Syracuse this season. But he gives them really good size at that power forward spot. Now, the transfers. This is where I think, it gets interesting for Syracuse, because on one hand, I really like the guys they brought in, but I think there is also a little bit of a weakness that I think that I've kind of realized has developed with this program. So, Nate George, I love Nate George. I think he's a tremendous point guard. I think he's gotten better each year. He's a pass-first guy, but this past season he became much more efficient as a scorer. His three-point shooting improved. He's able to score off the dribble much more. I just think this is a big get, especially a guy who's very familiar with the ACC, having played 2 years with Georgia Tech. You just feel confident that he's going to transition well to Syracuse. Nate Kings might be their most important get in the transfer portal outside of Nate George. Nate Kings is a tremendous shooter and I think a good defender. He shot like 45% on 5+ attempts from 3 at Oregon State last season. This is a really important piece. We're going to get to that reason in just a second. William Kyle and Ibrahim Saore are both undersized bigs, about 6'9", but they're good defensive players. They know their role. They can rebound a bit. Kyle a little bit more than Saore, but can switch, can guard, smaller players because they're a little bit smaller. They're not necessarily like lob threats or anything like that. They're not going to give you a ton offensively, but I think you know what you're going to get at your 5 spot from Syracuse. Betsy was a top 50, top 40 recruit from Cincinnati. Didn't play a ton this past season, but is still a guy, with those accolades that you got to bet on as potentially having untapped potential is what I'm trying to get at here. And Bryce Saphir apparently is a good defensive player. Didn't play a ton. He's kind of had a weird route to get to Syracuse, so I'm not sure. I don't bank a ton on him, but if he gives you something, I think it's a bonus is kind of how I'm looking at it. So the freshman, Aaron Womack is he's not a rated guy. I'm not expecting anything out of Aaron Womack. Luke Fennell is like a top 150 guy. Could work his way into the rotation, 6'6". Not expecting a lot from him. Now, Keon Anthony and Sadiq White Jr., those guys I do expect to play prominent roles for Syracuse. Sadiq White is the higher rated of the two. He's a little bit bigger, 6'8". He does a lot of his scoring inside, from what I could tell. Didn't see a lot of three-point shooting. We're going to get to that in a second, I promise. And Keon Anthony, a talented scorer. Saw him in a couple of these like all-star games, if you will, from the high school circuit, and is definitely a tough shot taker and a tough shot maker. Him and Nate Kings are the best shooters on this team, and the concern I have is I think your starting lineup is something like Nate George, Nate Kings, Donnie Freeman, JJ Starling, and one of Ibrahim Saore or William Kyle. You could argue Sadiq White is in that starting lineup instead of Nate Kings, but the issue to me with that is JJ Starling, not a great three-point shooter. Nate George, an average three-point shooter. Donnie Freeman, probably like an average, but could be better three-point shooter. You're not getting any shooting from Saore or Kyle. And so I think Kings or Keon Anthony as well have to start because you need that spacing. I do think Nate George will help the three-point shooting percentages of JJ Starling and Donnie Freeman because he is that table setter for you at point guard. But I just think that that's the one concern I have with this roster. I like what they've done in the portal, but the lack of consistent three-point shooting could be a detriment for them next season. So please like this video. That really helps us. Subscribe to the channel. I'm curious, what do you guys think? Let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're seeing this later. I think overall, though, while I do quibble with the three-point shooting of this team, I think overall Coach Autry's done a nice job of getting guys into this program that have size, that are athletic, can guard multiple positions. I think they're going to be much better than, maybe not much better, but I think they will be a better team than last season and a fringe NCAA tournament team. As we get closer to next season, think like August or so, August, September, definitely going to have a preview, looking at the schedule, my projected rotation, and then going over some of these moves in the offseason for Syracuse. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. And I'll see you